Good morning, everyone. What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading Investing. I hope you're all doing well. Had a great weekend. Again, happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. Hope you had a really good weekend. Great to be here this Monday morning with all of you as we're getting ready for this new week ahead. Looking forward to getting into the charts with you. I feel like it was a long weekend. It was 2 days with the family, and I feel refreshed, ready here to get into the markets. Looking forward to doing that with y'all. We're looking at the big four today. The big four, right? We got S&P 500, the dollar, gold, and Bitcoin. We got three of the four up today. That's pretty strong. Three of the four are up today. The dollar showing some sign of weakness. The dollar's retracing a little bit. We're going to be looking at those moves and see whether or not we're going to see further dollar strength this week, or we might continue to see further weakness. We'll be watching for that. Bitcoin looking good, Roman. Bitcoin looking good. If you all know, if anyone has seen the trading, in the weekend weekly Forex forecast and analysis update, I said, listen, we got 12,000 Bitcoin incoming now, right? Haven't heard a call like that from me in a while, but that's what we're looking at right now. It looks like that Bitcoin is getting ready to break out over here, break out past this trend line resistance, break out past this 10,400 resistance, and that will lead, I believe, to an initial push pretty quickly to 12,000. That's what we're looking at over here. Now, what happens if the dollar strengthens up? Is Bitcoin and the S&P, are they going to come off with gold? Gold is at resistance right now too. We're going to look at that also this morning, right? We're going to look at that this morning. You can see right here, gold trading up now towards resistance. It looks good. It also looks like that it might be breaking out over here. We're going to watch it. We're going to be watching it for sure. It looks really good. Silver is up more today, but silver you could see is lagging gold. And when I say it's lagging gold, you're looking at gold trading right now, testing yearly highs right over here, and silver is lagging behind its yearly high somewhere around $19. Silver might catch up. I continue to be more interested in gold though. Model 3 Life, everyone, good morning. Great to be back with Brad. Thanks for all the help this weekend. I really appreciate it. So gold looking good over here. Dollar looking a little weak right now. I've been meaning to get to you, and I hope to do that this week, a breakdown here of the dollar bear case made by Lynn Alden. And someone over the weekend on the S&P video, they actually included a Twitter thread by her, asking, hey, could you break this down so that I could understand it a little bit better? I'll do my best to do that with you all because I think that is so important over here. Speaking of the dollar, what we're looking at right now is the dollar on the verge of perhaps rolling over. Let's look on the 8-hour over here. You can see that it's now testing again this trend line over here, this trend line support. If it breaks this trend line over here, dollar longs at that point got to believe that this reverse head and shoulders, which you can even see better on the 4-hour time frame. Let me come down to the 4-hour time frame. We were watching this left shoulder, head, right shoulder, the break right over here, break, retest, and then all of a sudden now we're coming back down, taking out even the low over here of this session. That could then send us back towards 97. If we lose the 97 support, then it looks like this was a pullback into resistance and is now resuming downwards. So the dollar's on the verge of showing further weakness going into this week right now. Market's looking pretty good. When I say pretty good, I mean the market is looking, I don't know what's going on with that. There we go. Let's get that a little bit better over there. Thanks for the likes this morning over there, everyone. Do I mean 96? No, I mean 97 right here first. If we break down below the low of the session today, then it looks like 97 could definitely be in the picture. Now, if we lose 97, right, then yes, 96 and or below becomes in the picture. Right, so this is a very important level right here. Once we break this trend line over here, that will be like, okay, now is the time to be going from like more neutral bullish to sellers are definitely taking it down. Let's see what happens at 97. It's some pretty good support. If we lose this support over here, then 96 becomes in question. That's when we could see further dollar weakness. Anything above here, though, you got to have a neutral to bullish bias over here, as we seem to be breaking out and holding. So dollar's on the back foot today, but not under pressure. The dollar's off a little bit. It's not under pressure, but you're seeing definitely gold again testing the top end of its resistance over here. Looks good. S&P also. S&P looks pretty good. At the same time, all right. So again, if you had most of you probably, I hope, had seen the weekend video on the S&P, and this is exactly so far what we're looking for, right? But not with much authority. The market's shaking off some pretty. It's shaking off all COVID news. I saw a headline this morning out of Beijing, and they're looking for a drop off the cliff cases of virus today. That seems pretty good. Markets right here, though, are not offering that much of an edge. They are now beginning to consolidate down and come neutral. We're still waiting for the break, whether it's to the upside or downside. All that I'm looking at the S&P this morning is saying to myself, we got S&P up, we got gold up, we got Bitcoin up. We got 3 of the big 4 all up. That's a pretty good market conditions. I don't see any reason for any type of turn in the market. So, which means that if a turn comes, it's going to be very clear to us, and we'll be able to take advantage. This is not very convincing that the buyers are able to do anything. It's pretty neutral to me. This big sell-off we saw on Friday, and then we're now retraced halfway. It's pretty neutral up in this area over here right now. But market's looking good, and markets are looking healthy. Bitcoin is a little bit more exciting. It looks like, again, just like gold, they look like they're both getting ready here for a possible move. Now, yes, they are at resistance. You don't want to chase up here. They are at resistance. Let's see if you get a breakout. If you're not yet involved, if they get a breakout to the upside and then come back down, that might be a good place to come in over here. I'm sorry to hear that, Benjamin. That's definitely concerning. And I think we're still seeing the first wave, which has not really across the globe yet petered out, or we're even shown strong signs just in certain areas. I think we're seeing the first wave. There's no question to me that we're going to see a second wave, and the second wave is going to be, well, we're going to have to navigate through it to see what happens. That's something that could really joggle the markets. That's something that could definitely come into play, and in a big way. And then when the market starts wrestling with that, right, that will be the opportunity to look for, perhaps even a significant sell-off. That's not happening right now. We're not even past the first wave. Yeah, that's also really important. Thanks, ZR1 Rob, saying that the wave is rising because of increased testing, which is absolutely also true. Absolutely true. Either which way, we haven't yet really beat the first wave. There will be, I believe, a second wave. That's all. Second wave in the fall. So, by the way, does anyone, Corey is saying that we just needed to let it burn out and get herd immunity. What is the total population so far that does have antibodies built up in immunity? Is that like 20%? Does anyone have any type of number? I think we need like 60% global in order to say that we have herd immunity. But if anyone has a number, I would be very interested to know. I think that's important for us to watch. Markets about 10%. That was my guess, ST, to my brother. That was my guess. 5% in the US, 10% globally. 10% is pretty low. And when I say pretty low, I mean if we need to get to 60%, there's a significant portion of the population that has yet built up any type of immunity, and that, so again, I'm just forward thinking about what's going to go on with the markets. That's not happening now. I don't think until we actually arrive to a second wave that it's going to become the focus of the market, which means that we have a lot of time for the market to continue doing what it's doing. Let's continue to watch over here. What I'm trying to get at is don't be looking to sell the market the market's not selling off yet. And if it is, we'll be aware of it and we'll be positioning ourselves for it. All right. So bold called on Bitcoin. Bold $12,000 call on Bitcoin. Let's go into FX and see what's going on as the dollar has been weak this morning. Again, on the verge of extending its gains down towards 97. It's at an important area this morning. The dollar, we're going to see what happens up until the London close and then get a look at it. We're seeing also, just like the markets, we're seeing crude continues to be pretty bid, right? We're definitely seeing the comfortability of risk on in the market. And that's coming out right now in Australian dollar pairs. We'll take a look at that also. I think that's the first wave though, right? When you talk about what's going on in Florida, Texas, and Arizona, I think this is still part of the first wave. Listen, that's just an opinion. I'm not an expert on that by any means. Nice. Amy is looking at let's look at the Euro US dollar. This is very interesting right here. This is actually as the DXY is on the verge of breaking down. This is on the verge of breaking out to the upside. If you look at this, right, over here, you're looking at this trend line over here that would now look like we're definitely about to break above. And this could be like a descending wedge pattern, which is definitely a bullish continuation pattern once it breaks out to the upside. So again, watch what happens. This area right here, this resistance, that first resistance that's coming in at 1.282, which is the level to watch if we do break out here to the upside. That's 97 on the DXY. That's 97 on the DXY. And that's the level if we break above this here on the Euro US dollar. At that point, yeah, we're going to be testing at over here, these highs. Listen, if we break above there, interestingly enough, if you break above there, then all of a sudden you're looking at the outer trend line resistance all the way up here, which is like close to 1.17. It's close to 1.17, right? So that could be a significant move here. You know, a 500 pip move here, a 400 pip move here to the next resistance if we do continue to break out here to the upside on the Euro US dollar. So definitely be aware of that. Definitely watch that. It's something I'm watching. We're going to see. So again, I hope everyone is had a great weekend. The markets right now, I'm first sensing what I'm seeing so far this morning as we're going to get into all of these different opportunities and find out where the best opportunity is. What I'm seeing is that the market is kind of like it's comfortable. It's comfortable with the current risk on tone. I'm looking for further extension, although it's not yet convincing of the S&P. Definitely looking at strong Bitcoin and gold over here, and the dollar looks like it has the potential here to continue to weaken. It really needs to put in a reversal here for us to get any other type of a read off of it, because that's right now it's weakening. All right, and that would make sense to see Bitcoin, to see the S&P, and to see gold taking advantage of that weak dollar. That's not to say they all four can't be trading up at the same time. That's what I call the new sweet spot. And if that happens, then the market, I really believe, has the opportunity to trend up for a while. So here you're looking at the Australian dollar, US dollar. You're seeing everything is right now taking a little bit bite out of the US dollar. And it's too soon to tell whether or not we're going to see that little bit of an extension, or we're at a point right now where we're going to get a reversal as you come up into this resistance over here on the Australian dollar, US dollar. And again, by the way, you are just coming off of support here on the Australian dollar, US dollar. Any traders picking it up off the support, that's a great trade. The Australian dollar, US dollar is in an uptrend since March. This is an uptrend on a swing trader's time frame. Buying off supports is a really good trade. You know, as you come into this resistance over here, though, that's also an opportunity to look to sell, because you also at the same time, in a bigger perspective, are in a downtrend, and it depends at what portion of that trend you're looking to be a part of. So you could be buying off of support here and selling off of resistance, as it's been with the Australian dollar US dollar, Australian dollar, Japanese yen for quite a while right now, for about 6 weeks. So that continues. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. This looks like obviously it's consolidating over here. It continues to look pretty bullish. It is possible that we're going to get a breakout here to the upside. This is also now an opportunity to look to lean into buy this morning, as it is off of the support end of its consolidation range. So that's something to watch out for. Australian dollar bid across the board. Question is, how much longer will that risk on continue until it shows signs that it's not, right? The Fed withdrew some liquidity last week. You saw the markets trade off a little. Everything seemed pretty orderly to me. There's nothing of everything is orderly. Everything has been orderly. There you go. Jordan was just on the same page over here. Let me see what he's saying. The Fed has been reducing its purchases considerably. Is this a sign the Fed is content where things are right now too? I mean, if the Fed were to continue throwing that fuel on this fire, this blazing fire they've created, it would really set it off. So the fact that the Fed is able to wind down its purchases to about, $3.5–4 billion a day, and the market is pretty content. Again, these are all bullish signs. These are all bullish signs, and of course, I would not be surprised to see any consolidation on within a bigger trading range here throughout the summer. At the same time, the market seems pretty content. I don't see any reason to really be taking a bearish opinion of the market. Yeah, the economy is very bearish, right? But man, they're going to keep these zombie corporations going for as long as possible. Yeah, Gary, we don't. Let's keep going over here. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, also off the support, regraining the trend line over here, right above here. Again, this is an opportunity to buy. Of course, there's an opportunity across all Australian dollar pairs this morning to be buyers over here. Your risk to reward is now good. Will tomorrow be turnaround Tuesday? Maybe we'll be watching for it. It's quite possible. Wouldn't be surprised. We still got a lot of trading until then. So let's keep evaluating what's going on over here. I'm looking at the S&Ps opening in 13 minutes, not at the high of the overnight session, off the highs by about 1/3%, but still everything is looking pretty good over here. Let's see what's going on when we look at a couple of traders have been focused here on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. So let's take a look at it. I'm stepping back right now. It's hard for me to get a very good. By the way, I'm sorry. Tomorrow at 10:15 Eastern time, we're going to be doing the live stream, the webinar for all CTM members. The link will be shared in the CTM Telegram group. All right, that's where the link will be shared. I'll try to send out an email later with some details, but look for the link tomorrow at 10:15 in the CTM group. I'm neutral on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, meaning I just don't like the flow of it. It's almost like sloppy. So again, I go where there's clarity. It just has been a nice short. We'll take a look at it then. I know that a lot of traders are. Oh, I'm sorry, pound New Zealand dollar. Let's skip forward to it. A choppy mess, Wes. Absolutely. Yo, my goodness, you're so right about this. Look at this. This looks. This has been great. That's why, Will, your eyes are on it. Excellent over here. This continues really to continue to wind down. Not much to say down here, right? You can't, with nothing to do down over here. You're coming into this area of actually support down over here. If that level doesn't hold, this thing could continue to bleed much further. You're just looking to sell resistance. Where's the closest resistance, you might ask, that you would become interested in this pair again? Because right now, obviously anyone in this pair is managing this. No one's looking for a new entry down over there. But as you come back up in this really strong downtrend, any opportunity to sell into resistance will continue to be live and active. By the way, let's check over on the US dollar, Mexican peso. And this is coming off as the markets are a little bit bid. That correlation continues and is very strong and tight. You can see this looks pretty healthy though over here. This is coming down now after holding this area of support, right? It's coming back in and testing that local support that was built right over here, and it extends over here. So it's a small level. It's not a level that I want you to really focus on. It's the stronger supports and resistance levels that you draw off the daily time frame, or if you could eyeball it on the 8 hour. I mean, I do it, but it's easier to do it on the daily, right? And then come back to the 8 hour time frame. And you can see over here that local support is looking to possibly hold. That's where price has pulled into today, and pull back further into the deeper end of support. That's a level to look at to see if it holds. That's an important level across the board. That's pretty much the 97 level on the DXY that we looked at earlier, right down over here, that white dot. But what about on the S&P 500? That's this area of support over here at 30.33. And in the same breath, as long as this area is holding, it's looking pretty good here on the markets. Continue to focus. I just thought I moved something. Continue to focus here. I'm going to make it a little bit brighter right now, the lower trend line over there. And as long as that's holding, right, you got to be holding the line also, right? We start breaking here below this trend line over here, this trend line support, take out 29.47 support on the S&P, then we might be rolling over. Right now, markets look stable. Stable and calm seem to be the best descriptive words of the market. Watch gold over here, see if it could break out above. I would love to see a breakout of gold over here. I really love that. Same thing with Bitcoin. Both of them are on the verge of perhaps extending their move. Do they need the weaker dollar to do that? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the dollar here, if it comes off, that's going to give the boost to both Bitcoin and gold here to continue their next leg upwards. US dollar. Davidson, good morning. Great to see you live with us. Up early this morning. Grateful for that. Looking here at the US dollar, Canadian dollar, it is also consolidating here above that area of support. It's not really giving an edge over here why it's consolidating. There's really no edge over here. You do have higher lows, but at the same time, higher lows, you have lower highs. And it's coming to a point tomorrow might be a big day. Tomorrow might be a big day to see on Tuesday an extension here. We'll find out which way it goes. Let's check out the US dollar, Japanese yen. Yeah, but Shane, this is great. Shane is saying looks like another day of boring, flat movements in the markets and crypto, right? Yeah, we're in that. So first of all, great to be able to recognize what's going on around you. Now's the time as we continue through a consolidation period, right? The thing about consolidation is it could be weary on a lot of traders, and you have to have the fortitude and focus, which takes discipline as you get towards the later stages of the consolidation, to stay sharp, because that's when the breakout and extension is coming. That's the part of the move that you want to be involved in. So right now, stay focused, do your work, right? Setting up, because it looks like tomorrow could be a day where we see some pretty big movements. And I'm pretty content with seeing right now the extension that we're seeing, right? Where we're seeing 3 of the 4 big 4 participating here to the upside. That means healthy markets for us. So we like that. Let's see what else is going on over here. By the way, thanks for spending the time this morning here. Thanks for smashing that like button this morning. Glad to be here with you Monday morning as we get ready to kick off this week together. Hoping we can make it a good week. Obviously, the main focus here, the main focus of all traders, right? Let's just focus for a second. Main focus has to be looking to increase your capital. So you have to be protective of it to do that, which means that you are not really a risk taker. You are risk adverse. You are looking to go ahead and take high probability trades this week. This week, anyone who's losing money and taking more than 3 trades a week, that's the number one thing you could focus on, is trading less and taking better trades. right? If you do not limit yourself, do not discipline yourself, if you allow yourself to do whatever you feel like it, well, you have that ability and opportunity in trading in the markets, but that's not going to lead to any type of success. You got to be disciplined. You got to start focusing today on making choices that are going to get you where you want to be tomorrow. Diamond flip-flopped on Bitcoin like yeah, he certainly did. Not only did he do that, they were talking down Bitcoin and buying it at the same time. I mean, what else do you expect from those guys? Nothing's ever changed. New Zealand dollar is, I think, the strongest pair of the day. I believe I read that headline this morning on Forex Live. Yeah, I mean, that's what the whole course is about, is how to take high probability trading, and then working with me through lessons on how to then manage your trades and make all the difference. Most people that if you follow the course, most people become break even traders like right right off the bat. Within the first few weeks, you should be a break even trader, and then it's a question over the next few months teaching you how to extend that and become a constantly profitable trader. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, off of the support over here, extending out. It looks very nice. There's nothing else to say about it. The dollar, this level over here becomes a big level now, right? Anyone who took this trade, I didn't take this trade. Anyone who took this trade though, and you're coming into this resistance, this is where you got to watch it. This is the first resistance level, right? Since you got into the trade, or is it the second, really? Because that's the first one right there. We already blew through it. This is a level, because it's an important one also. So you're coming into the second level of resistance. All right. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go over here. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Also, again, off that support, I could move that up a little bit. I could see this is where the resistance was. Right now is here the support. That's between the most two recent levels. I'll focus in over there. Again, so the decision that we have to make now as we come into the resistance over here, because this is a downtrend. Are you selling resistance here? Again, anyone who is buying off support here, great. Since March, we're in an uptrend. Nice, Miguel. We're going to get you further. We got to get you further on that, right? Break even is easy enough. And actually, that deserves, we're going to do the training session tomorrow, but that deserves a whole module on itself, on what you need to do and what you need to focus on, because it's a little easier doing group mentoring, having a video that issues that everyone focuses in on, that everyone needs to work on, and how to work past, because it's a milestone to get to break even for a trader. That's a milestone. A lot of traders then from there, they could just have a few bad trades, which really throws off their whole year. That's why you have to respect your losses, but we need to work on what you need to focus in on in order then to get to the next level. Boom, boom, boom. Tam, thank you for that. I'm just seeing Jordan say thank you. Just before it's a big message before I can even read it. I just want to say thank you for that. So I just want to say thank you for all the work you have put out. Because of your advice, I've become more patient in my trading and started to make small gains. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, Tam. Thanks for listening. That's awesome. Yeah, you don't want, and Anaya, you don't want to be break even. You don't want to be a break even trader. It's just a step along the way. You got to get there first. And most traders get there quickly, and then it's then managing a trade that gets you further. Where are we at today? Where else could we start looking for opportunity to see what's going on? Because the markets are about to open right now. We are looking here at the U.S. equities market opening in 1 minute. Everything continues to be exactly as we got on. We're seeing the S&P up a little bit on the session, off the highs, but still up over 50% on the session. The high was about 1%. It's trading at 0.7% now. Silver looking good, and gold also on the verge here of breaking out as it tests this resistance over here. The Bitcoin also looking pretty good, getting ready, testing a strong area of resistance also. When I say strong recently, just focus in on what the market's focusing on right now. You could see this level right there coming back to that resistance right there. Getting ready here, it looks, perhaps, to make another leg up. The dollar looks like it has the potential to push down further towards 97, continue into weakening if it does not hold this very important level that it is on right now. So this session here for the dollar, this session, right, is uber important for the next, right? If the dollar loses this level, I think it's coming down to 97. It's on the verge of doing that. It could happen right now during New York. Is it possible that New York, who's always seems to be reversing things, is able to do that 100%? It could do that. No, Andrew, I don't have any news about that at all. If anyone does, they could share. I don't personally. Let's look at the euro, British pound. That's coming up towards the top of this range over here. This is actually pretty interesting over here. Look at this. We've been following this pattern. We're towards the upper end of this resistance. This resistance comes back to over in this area over in March as well. Let me draw in a horizontal line over there as we are now right there. So this becomes an interesting trade over here, right? I would venture to say if you were able to hold this resistance and start rolling over, that a short here on the euro pound looks like a good opportunity to take with your risk capped. We know you're wrong on the trade and your reward now really becoming something that's really attractive. This looks like something to watch right now. Looks good. Glad you brought that up. Thanks, Vissel. Richie Rich, what's going on? Let's take a look at the NASDAQ from the top perspective over here. Let's pop up to the daily time frame. Let's see what's going on over here. Again, looking good and strong over here without question, right? Could the NASDAQ be making new highs this week? Certainly seems well within reach. No question about it. Now, question then becomes, what about the Dow? What about the S&P? Because they are definitely still lagging. They're still lagging their February highs by a pretty strong margin. And also the highs from earlier in the month. The Dow continues to lag. Tech continues to be strong. Why is tech strong, right? In this type of new environment we're in, where whatever it is what it is, right? But in this environment that we're in, you know, the costs for tech are definitely a lot less. Tech has every reason to continue to thrive. You're seeing the NASDAQ lead. Dow and S&P do not look strong. They do not look strong like the NASDAQ does. So that's a little bit concerning for any type of continued momentum. But let's see what happens this week. Let's see what happens this week. The Dow and the NASDAQ, why they don't look like it. They look like they're going to be consolidating in this range. Why they don't look like they're getting ready to really come back up and test the highs from earlier in the month. We'll see. The markets have been hot. I think the story right now continues to be Bitcoin, gold. Let's see if they're able to make the next leg up. That would be really interesting to see. It's a light calendar, Juan. We could take a look at it for sure together. It's a light calendar this week. We have some PMIs coming up out of Europe later in the week, I think on Thursday. Let's check that out. Yeah, this is on Tuesday. I'm sorry. This is on tomorrow. A really light calendar, actually. A really light calendar. But we're looking at tomorrow, out of the Euro, we're looking at PMI for starting out of France and then 15 minutes later in Germany. I'm sure that could have an effect on the Euro. I'm sure some PMI numbers could have a little bit of an effect on the Euro. They're talking about their rescue fund a lot. A lot of chatter out of Germany this morning saying they're going to be able to work something out. Yeah. Richie Rich, 100%. That's how you trade the stock market. 100%. I focus in FX because it's a better market. It's easier to trade. It's better to trade. But the exact same concept of how to trade a market, everything that you learn here is applicable to all markets and all time frames. you'll just have a much easier time learning how to be profitable on the 8-hour time frame in FX. And that's the goal, right? Isn't the goal to make money out of the markets, right? So that's where you want to focus. But yeah, it works in all markets. In all markets. Will gold break out? I hope so. It will be absolutely amazing. Would love to see a breakout here, Gold Thomas. I'm rooting for it. I'm hoping. Now, I mean, this could be great. A little ahead of season. We've talked about seasonalities. We talked about things are different right now. Wouldn't be surprised. And here we are. Bitcoin also. I will be absolutely stoked now. This whole area. Did you guys notice my discipline? This whole area. Once we retook the resistance that I was talking about, and once we traded up to 10,000, for this whole area, I let it consolidate, right? And now I'm saying, all right, now we're looking like we're ready for the next move up here, 12,000 in our sights. Let's see what's going on over here. And Bitcoin looks like it's ready here to also start. When's a good buy for gold? Juan, I mean, so by the way, for the way I look at it, gold's an investment. You're not looking to trade gold. Gold is an investment. You're looking like Bitcoin as everything, as the stars are aligned right now for both Bitcoin and gold. You don't want to be a trader of those, right? Trade the other FX pairs, right? You want to be building positions into those. If you don't own any physical gold, that's something you need to really think about hard. And you want to think of that, I believe, as insurance, right? Gold is insurance because you could wake up tomorrow and things could be drastically different. That's the world we live in. That's become a reality. I hope that you're able to sense that. And yeah, while we hope that the charade goes on and the music continues to play, because it's, why that doesn't change the system, it's the path of least resistance. Let's put it that way. You don't want to sell your gold. You want to hold gold. But right now, yeah, and I own physical silver as well. And we'll see what happens with gold and silver. I own the physical silver stuff as well. I probably wish, though, if I was doing that over again, I would just be buying gold. How about that? If I was doing it over again, I would just be buying gold and Bitcoin. I wouldn't focus in on silver. All right. Crypto, wow, Ethereum is putting up a nice day today. All altcoins are participating. That's nice to see. Do I think Bitcoin is more of a risk on instrument? Do I think Bitcoin's a risk on instrument? It depends what's going on. Bitcoin it can't really be labeled. Is really true about Bitcoin. The mascot of Bitcoin is the honey badger. And it's because you just can't keep that thing in a cage. The honey badger is able, just to keep going. It's kind of like Bitcoin. There are certain environments which are definitely risk off. If you get into any type of geopolitical risk, Bitcoin is going to be bid on that. Bitcoin will be considered a safe haven asset. Now, if you get into any type of liquidity problems, as we saw back in March, that is bearish for Bitcoin as it is for gold and all assets. If you have any type of real problems with the whole system itself, they like to put it problems with the plumbing, right? But if you're seeing all of a sudden, we're seeing dollar shortage problems, we're seeing the repo market act up again, those are warning signs that there's a problem and that could weigh on Bitcoin. But I do believe that Bitcoin performs well in a risk on type of environment. And it could also perform very well as gold can in a risk off in type of environment. Don't forget, gold is considered a safe haven asset. It's a risk off asset, right? But in this environment where we're seeing risk on, S&P mildly bid, you're right. If we're seeing risk on, though, you could have gold and the S&P and Bitcoin and the dollar all rising, as we did all through January and February when things were status quo. That's when all four of them were rising. That could happen again. That could happen again. But right now, I think this whole environment, I don't think we're going to see a dollar liquidity crisis. We'll talk about what happens during a second wave. We'll talk about what happens if solvency becomes an issue, which it's not right now. Then all those things could really start affecting both gold and Bitcoin. But right now, everything looks good. Markets continuing up. Yeah, Rick, that's a great comment. Let's talk about that for a second. Rick is saying right now it's risk on, but choppy. And that is definitely very descriptive of what's going on over here. And that is why we just watch out for if we enter a consolidation range, somewhere between here. That would make a lot of sense, don't you think? After seeing the markets sell off, then rebound, if they were to enter into a period of consolidation. So that's kind of my base case. I mean, that's what I'm looking for to happen. We'll trade around it, whatever does happen. If you notice, that's what happened right here on the dollar. Look on what we just saw on the S&P. That big move up and down, and then it consolidated. Right? Then it consolidated for a couple of months, 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. You see that happening also on the S&P? You see the big move down and now up. Would a consolidation period make sense? That's what I'm looking for going in right now into the summer. With I was supposed to say though, with that neutrally bullish bias to it, right? As Rick put it, the markets are risk on, but it's choppy out there. That's what I'm looking for. I'm watching the dollar this session very closely because I want to see if the dollar is able to go ahead and resume down off of this resistance over here, right? But ever since it broke out down out of this channel, it's very, very bearish. We've seen a weak dollar. It's pulled back up to resistance, and now if it's going to start making lower lows, it then is resuming off of it, right? So the dollar's at a pretty important level this morning over here. Thursday GDP figures. I don't even see that on the calendar, Will. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's see. Let me go ahead and make this medium impact news events as well. Let me see what's going on over here. Yeah. I mean, so listen, the truth is that this is numbers in the past. This number is not markets looking forward. I don't think it's going to be something to really watch. The market could use that. Of course, well, you're right. The market could use that and or the consumer sentiment on Friday as places to turn, as those type of news events at the time of day they are tend to do that. But the calendar's light today. U.S. dollar will rise this week. I'm looking for the big four to all rise together. That's what I'm looking for. And it'll be interesting to see if the dollar does start rising. What then is the effect on the other three, right? Will the S&P trade off? Will Bitcoin trade off? And will gold trade off? That's something that we're all watching for over here. But, I mean, gold looks impressive this morning. It would be nice to see a forceful breakout. Be careful, you are at resistance, though. Be careful, you are at resistance. This is not where you enter a trade, right? This was off this support down here was the last opportunity. And we talked about for the last week as we were in the upper portion of this range that was more leaning towards the bullish side. So just don't FOMO. I hope it breaks out hard and fast, but if you miss it, it's a lesson to get in next time over there. And that's a big level. S&P 3000, above 3000 and above 2950 is very bullish. Lose 2950, things become a little bit more concerning over here. 15 minutes since the U.S. equities markets opened, it's a pretty muted session right now. It's a pretty muted session. Right now, we've been seeing when we have a stronger dollar, we've been seeing gold and Bitcoin and equity markets back off. I'm looking right now for that correlation to break. I'm looking for all four to be up together. I think so, Thomas. Gold has every reason here to really start moving, as does Bitcoin. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe right now we're going to enter into a range on the S&P. Maybe we'll be consolidating between that 2950, between 32. And let's see what happens, what gold and Bitcoin are able to do if that happens. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you, Mart. Appreciate that very much. Thanks for the heads up. In the same respect, have you ever seen the big four all move down together? Ooh, Lawrence, that's not something I've been focused on. But what if during the crisis we saw the dollar do some funny things, right? In this portion of the crisis, let's focus on right there from February 20th to March 9th. From February 20th to March 9th, you saw the dollar falling, right? You saw the S&P getting smashed. You saw February 20th. So gold was in that area. Gold was all over the place. Gold started February 20th off right here, right where my mouse is at 1611, and why the S&P and dollar traded down firmly. It was pretty volatile ending on the downside. And then also Bitcoin did the same thing. February 20th, it sold off. So in that during the crisis, during the heart of the crisis, all four were trading down. It's a great question, Lawrence. It is really something that it is really a good question. And during the crisis itself, all four of them were trading down, with gold kind of holding up the best. With gold but then right after, the week after, gold got slaughtered. So all four of them gold got slaughtered the week after, but recovered quickly. All right. So what does that tell you? In the next crisis, right? As we continue, because this wasn't the last crisis, right? As this continues, when we're seeing the heart of a crisis like that, and even the dollar is being sold off, seeing pressure, and the dollar was so volatile. Also, markets down, Bitcoin down, gold down, but gold holding well. But that type of environment is far and few between. That type of environment is far and few between. Yeah, that's one of one of the greatest advantages about trading FX over equities is the volume. Which you're talking, there's about $7 trillion a day of change in the currency markets, which is absolutely phenomenal. But another one is that they trade during the week 24 hours a day, which is also really important, right? In today's world, it's really important, and being limited by 1 8-hour day session in equities. So I had so many problems last week because I don't focus in on the equity markets also, but making some moves inside some retirement accounts. You have to catch the right time of day to be able to place an order and make a trade. What happens if it's 7 o'clock at night and you want to sell your Netflix? It's anyway. But way better, way easier to trade. They trend better. It's easier to be a part of the moves. Yeah, I think oil will continue as long as this risk on move continues. Crude will continue to be bid. Is it possible as we get closer to this area over here and close this gap over here that oil sells off? I think, and this has been our thesis, our game plan, ever since this area, ever since we broke out over here, was that as we come into this area of closing the gap and 45, that might be the area to look towards, start building a position against oil, especially if you think global demand will be down, if we will see a second wave, you know? That's great. It's a good Monday. Oh, so let's check that out. We're seeing another leg down here on the dollar. We're seeing the euro definitely react, trading up on that. And it looks like the euro US dollar is now, the dollar should be coming down towards 97. It looks like the euro US dollar is breaking outside this trend line over here, extending up. This is going to be the area to watch as you come into the resistance at 1.128. That's the make or break it here level on the euro US dollar. If we do trade above it, watch this area. Could be a bullish extension over here, breaking out of this falling this descending wedge pattern over here in what has been a bull move for the euro US dollar over here, breaking out to the upside. If you clear this resistance, at that point we have another important level and then a break above there that could really set off an extension. Watch the dollar over here. I want to get into with all of you Lynn's thread on the dollar weakness case, just so we're aware of it. Just so we're aware of it. We want to be aware of everything. Am I currently in a long trade? On what? I can't read minds. So that's a good look at the market today. Let's check out. I saw the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen resuming off the support this morning over here. Yeah, kind of neutral. Kind of neutral. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, kind of neutral. We could talk about it, right? And what I'm seeing is this support. This was resistance for a long time for the whole crisis. Once we broke above it, right? We're maintaining above it. Today we're seeing this a little bit big. I can tell by my voice it's not interesting for me though. And it's not. And I just don't know. I don't know how I would trade here. Right now, are you buying off of this support as price resumes up? Well, that's a trade, right? That's a setup and that's a trade. But is that your best trade to take today? You get 3 trades a week. Is this the trade that you want to take long on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen? And if so, why that over this? Why would you take the long on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, as opposed to the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, or the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen for that matter? Where is the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen? Let's take a look. Like that long. So I mean, I would have been focused more on either the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, than on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, which I'm not. And I don't view the Canadian dollar as in play as a strong pair to be trading, and the setup wasn't that inviting where that's where I'd want to be focused. Thanks, Amy. Thanks for being here with us. Nice trade on the euro US dollar. Love when people take money out of the markets, tell you that much. Always. Would I be looking for a retest? Let's check this out, Wes. Would I be looking for a retest? Let's pull up the euro US dollar while you have that. Would you be looking for a retest of the 1.282 resistance for a retest of this wedge? All right, so let's talk about that a second over here. As we came into this resistance over here, Wes, I'd be looking to sell. I'd be looking to sell a rejection here of this resistance. And then, yeah, if we came back in and tested that wedge again and held it, would you be a buyer over here? I wouldn't be a buyer over here personally. So let's see. Let me talk this through. US dollar breaks 97 over here. That says to me we're gonna see some further dollar weakness. But I'm not necessarily looking for 97 to break, right? So as the euro US dollar comes into the resistance over there, the one that you pointed out, Russ, 1.28, I'm actually looking to sell that resistance. I'm looking to sell that resistance. Now, if this resistance doesn't resume off and give me an entry signal and then breaks this resistance and comes up, at that point, I'm now waiting for a retest of this level to buy off of. That's what I'm looking at there on the euro US dollar, right? So if I saw a rejection of this resistance, the level that you pointed out, Wes, the 1.28 level, that's what I'm looking to sell. If we break above there and then retest and turn this resistance to support, then I'll be looking to buy over here, and I'll be looking to buy, seeing what happens into the first area of resistance, but hoping for a breakout that could then lead to a nice trade. Yeah. I don't follow natural gas. I don't find that exciting. I don't trade natural gas. Obviously it's all of, look, I follow about 30 different Forex pairs. And the reason I do that is because it gives me so much opportunity. I'm not forced that if I just traded the euro US dollar and I saw that this was the plan, I have to wait for these things to happen, which could take a week, right? But by being able to focus in on opportunity across the whole market and being able to see what's in play right now, I'm able then to narrow it down. And why nothing is so exciting, I think tomorrow, let me take that off there, that comment of Wes. Why tomorrow actually could be a much more exciting session. Right now, I'm not so excited. I don't see a wave of setups coming into the market. I like this. I've been waiting for this for a while, for a couple of weeks now. And now that we're into this resistance over here, horizontal resistance, and the resistance of this widening wedge that I'm seeing, this becomes exciting. But what I do is I look through all the opportunity and I look to find out what is offering potential setups. And then as they get close, I keep watching them. And then I look for the best one. That's how you do it. Natural gas, why not exciting? You know, S&P I like following the dollar. Gold and Bitcoin are super exciting right now, right? We're getting ready to enter some bear markets. So it is a quiet day today. Is the pound oversold? And you know, how temporary are those problems? What are we going to see? That's not really. It's going to become the focus soon, right? The British pound. What are we going to be seeing happening towards the end, the later part of this year? Is the UK going to be able to get a nice clean exit with the deal with the EU, or is it going to be disorderly? That's too soon to tell. And you know, we're way too far in advance to be thinking about buying the pound, because afterwards it'll probably be a better situation here. Right now, what are we looking at? Let's answer that question. Let's look across all of the British pound. They will make a deal. I'm not sure. I mean, the EU does not want them to leave, because once they do, it really does open up the door for other countries to leave, also setting a precedent. Yeah, Adam. Of course they can. They absolutely could have an effect on the pound, as well as on the euro tomorrow. Pound right now is coming down and trading into an area of support. All this whole area down over here, it's coming down into support now. It is come off pretty. Am I a pound buyer? Well, let me put it this way: if we continue to see the current environment we're in, which is, you know, risk on, I think we'll continue to see the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar appreciate versus the pound. There's no reason for the pound, with the uncertainty it has over it, to appreciate over those two risk-on currencies. Now, should you be concerned about buying into those particular currencies over the longer haul? As we enter if we enter a second wave that really starts being a cause of concern, if we're seeing risk-off environment, both of those pairs are going to get crushed, right? And all this could be leading up to a really nice sell opportunity against the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar. But that's not happening right now. That's not happening right now. And there's no reason right now for us to be looking to position against what is the trend, right? Again, we need further clarity. We need further clarity at this point to say, all right, this is rolling over Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and now we want to be trading against it heavily and strongly. It's not happening yet. It could happen. Whoop. Same thing with the S&P. We're ready for that to roll over, and if it does, we'll be there to take it. But look, the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, classic risk on, risk off pair, came up too hard and too fast, was rejected hard, but now is stabilizing as support. Listen, maybe we enter into a consolidation period, right? You got to be mentally ready to trade through it, and then also understand in that type of environment, you have to trade you change your trading, adjust it a little bit. Whereas instead of looking to push past the first resistance support, you're taking a bigger piece off than normal while you're in a ranging market. Yeah, that's very well put, right? I think we're seeing an expansion of the first wave, because the second wave, I think, is going to be pretty big and severe. We're not, like when you see a resurgence, if you do in Italy or Spain or New York, right? Places that had really significant, really bad infections. If you start to see those places really accelerate and have to go on lockdown again, then that would be bad. Then we want to be really risk off minded and we should see further extension downs. That's not happening right now. That's William, I'll be selling my Bitcoin. I'm not selling my gold. I'm not selling my gold, right? Hopefully that's something we pass down to the next generation. Let's do that for insurance. I will not be selling my Bitcoin, right, until November, December of 2021. That's when I'm going to be looking to exit my Bitcoin. We're not going to hit another dollar liquidity crisis before then, in my opinion. And if we do, right, it's going to be short. The Fed has to step in. They have to come in as strong as possible to prevent the system from breaking until they no longer can anymore. And then if they can't prevent it from breaking anymore, well, then you better hope that you own gold and Bitcoin, right? So there'll be, they could if you're leveraged into those positions, you're going to get wiped out and you're going to get a margin call and you're going to be wrecked. That's for sure. So careful about that. All right, what else we got going on over here now? Let's check out S&P trading right where we started the morning session, up maybe 3 or 4 points. Same thing, dollar is definitely under pressure now and looks towards 97 as the next level to watch out for. And is gold taking advantage right now of that weak dollar? Is it going to be ready to break out? Will we see a lot of stops taken out over here and not a retrace and a wick back down into the range? Which is a possibility. That's why you don't FOMO in. FOMOing is seeing gold breaking out over here, wanting to be involved. As you get in, all of a sudden, stops get taken out, and you're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, that wicks down against you. That's why we wait for a breakout, a retest, and a resumption to get into the trade. Or is gold going to see a powerful breakout right now over here? That would be beautiful to watch, and it would be beautiful to see Bitcoin also start doing the same right over here. Should you buy mining stocks? I don't know, man. I don't know. Is that a good investment? What would you prefer, mining stocks or GBTC if you were forced, to buy something within the equity markets? Wow. Time-based short on the S&P 500. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Let's talk about upside targets on gold, right? If we're able to break out over here. If we're able to break out over here, what are we looking at over here? Yep. Yeah, I see the level of 1789, 1790, call it. So 1800 is going to come into focus pretty quickly. And then if we're able to break above 1800, then we're looking at new all-time highs. We've always spoke about once we break out of this resistance area over here, that could lead to new all-times pretty quickly. Yeah, so we're not really looking for risk. We're not looking for risk. That's not how, we're looking for higher probability. Why is gold more attractive than silver? Well, because over the long run, it's just more stable. Could there be a period of time when silver outperforms gold? Yeah, of course. Ethereum could outperform Bitcoin in this coming bull market. I'm not buying Ethereum. It is. S&P getting bid over here. Looking pretty good now, up towards the high, close to the overnight session high over here. DXY is under pretty strong pressure, and we're still seeing gold looking pretty good over here, taking advantage of that weak dollar. It's nice to watch. It's an exciting time to be watching gold, and it'll be nice for it to break out over here. Yeah, Luminary, we're not really interested in politics at all. Definitely anything that affects the market, we always need to be having the conversation about it in a mature way. S&P is looking nice. Everything is looking calm and stable, right? That's the best way to put it. Everything is looking pretty calm and stable. I'm not seeing at this moment though. I'm not seeing a wave of setups coming into the market that has me excited whatsoever. And what's great about that, this is only Monday. This is where a lot of traders get it wrong. They think they come into their desk on Monday and they're like, "All right, the market's open, the casino's open. What am I gonna? Where am I making money?" And they're just throwing money away. Boom, 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 boom. But this is Monday. I'm not seeing it happen right now. It doesn't matter. I have a lot of trading ahead of me. I'm looking for those 3 good trades this week. I'm looking for those 3 good trades, and if they're not happening right now, then I have no problem waiting until the market's set up, right? Monday, 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 Monday. Nah, guys, not gonna happen today. But that's all right. So the main thing about this, Kai, is that I'm here learning something. And as long as I'm learning something, as long as I'm continuing to push myself, it's going to just continue to improve my overall performance. That's what I'm interested at. You know what's interesting about this, about trading, about really polishing your craft, right? It's much more about knowing when to trade than how to trade. And if you don't know how to trade, get on a demo account and place 100 orders in a week. Do whatever you have to do to learn what your craft, and start with the basics. Man, search engines are your friend. If you don't know what risk on, risk off is, great. Spend the next 15 minutes learning it. If that gets really interesting for you, maybe it'll be 45 and you'll have learned something that you just continue increasing and building your knowledge base. That's how it works. It's a process of looking forward to learn every day and continuing to build on. The market's always changing and flowing, right? How could you expect to have a rigid sense of what you do every day? I trade only the Euro US dollar and I take 3 trades a day. That's a recipe for disaster. That's a trading plan that there's no way that you're gonna have success on, right? How could you force 3 trades a day on one pair? Right? Don't look to be trading, look to be waiting for the trade. Here on the US dollar, this is what I'm watching right now. I'm waiting to see as we come into this resistance over here at 1.282. Why don't you just take the trade then here, right? Why not just buy it and sell as you get over to there? Well, because this is a low probability trade here right now, breaking out of this wedge over here, right? Breakouts themselves, as you're watching, we'll look at gold in a second, on the verge of a breakout, but the breakout themselves, that's a low probability trade where often they'll wick back in, right? That's not a high probability trade. It's a low probability trade. I'm waiting for some type of confirmation. Now, Wes asked earlier, would I be focused on this breakout of this trend line? And if we retrace into it and then resume off that, would I be looking to buy? And I'm not. I'm looking for us to get above this important resistance level up here, which is 97 on the DXY, by the way, coming into that, right? If we lose that area and then I'm going to see a further extension down, or a higher probability of a further extension down, that's when I want to get long euros at the higher probability portion up here, right? But I'm looking first for that reject. Those are high probability trades. This one right here is not. So that's why you just don't, even if I know something is going to happen, I'm not going to take that trade if it's outside my strategy. I'm interested in not being able to be right in any given moment, but to make a living out of this. Yeah, and that's so important. That's so important. You got to have a Peter, man. You too. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Peter. I love the image here jumping off the cliff. By the way, is that you? That'd be pretty amazing. When is a major sell-off probability on the Dow, and the SPY? Right. So, well, that's a good question. Right. So, it's not, when it comes to the equity markets, right? It's not so much a question of when the next sell-off will be, because the sell-offs are few and far between. The sell-offs are few and far between. So it's a question of when they're happening, they're clear. It's pretty obvious. And that's when you really want to be strongly involved. But right now, of course, everyone's concerned about the economy and they have every reason to be. But look, listen, the fact is that growth has been a little bit better than we expected. And the Fed has definitely proven that it's going to be there and made it clear that it will continue to be there. So the markets don't really have a reason to be selling off or crashing right now. Could that change if there is a second wave that really weighs on the economy? In a heartbeat? In a heartbeat. Do I think we could come down and test the March lows? Yeah. 100% I think we could come down and test the March lows. Is that happening right now, or give me any indication that's getting ready to happen? Not even close. So that's not our conversation. That's not what we're talking about, because it's not happening right now. And if it begins to develop, that's when we'll be there. That's when we'll be there. What is the most profitable strategy in your opinion? That's a different conversation than how can you be profitable. So that's a different conversation, and you're focused on the wrong question. Your question should be, what do I need to do to become profitable? And you shouldn't be thinking about what is the most profitable, because you're not going to be able to implement the most profitable strategy. You're not going to be able to do that, Addy. So your focus should be, what could I do to not only be profitable, but also become wealthy, right? That's your question. What do I need to do within my own personal wheelhouse and ability need to do to take advantage of the markets and to build wealth, even if that takes me in the next 15 years, right? Because if you're looking what's the most profitable strategy, then in the next 6 months I could 20x my money, you're gonna lose your money. That's not an investment strategy. That's not an investment plan, and that's not something, that's where you got to have focus. You got to be focused in on the right things, and then that's going to lead to you being able to then go ahead and achieve the goals that you need to achieve. You got to have the right goals to begin with. Is what's going on. You just need to have the right goals. Yeah. Expectations on economic indicators are still really low. We're by the way, Gary, this is a great point, because even PMIs, we're seeing everything in major contraction under 50, right? We're not grooving by any means whatsoever. The numbers that are coming in good are just bad numbers coming in better than expected. I think we just saw a pullback recently, right? We were buyers of the pullback last week, right? We were buyers of the pullback last week. Actually made fantastic trade, all right, on the S&P over here, a buyer last week. So yeah, that was the time to buy. Will we get other pullbacks? Well, we're coming out of one potentially right now, right? You can see right over here you were focusing on the NASDAQ. That's a good, market to focus on. Right. So over here, you can see the NASDAQ did pull back and is now resuming out of it. How much further will that continue? Will we break out to new highs this week? I mean, it's all definitely, would you be surprised to see the NASDAQ making new all-time highs this week? It's definitely within, it's right here. Do you follow the pot stocks at all? Steve, I don't, right? Because, so first of all, if you were, the only pot stock that was at any point interesting that anyone should have been involved in was shorting the mania bubble of Tillery, right? Even the CEO was on CNBC and he's like, "I'm selling this right now," laughing, because that was a clear bubble, and when those things pop, right, they go down like 85-90%, right? As we'll see, Ethereum do. 18 months from now, as it begins its bear market, who knows how high this thing goes now. I think it'll outperform Bitcoin. I'm not buying it. I think it'll outperform Bitcoin, but it's also going to go down 90-95% from the high, and and Bitcoin won't. Bitcoin will only go down 80, 85%. The screen's off. Let's see. There we go. Max, I mean, Max, before I even saw your, yeah, so I saw Max say that he made profit on silver buying off of the support. And Max, this is this is great because that's what you got to do, right? Silver's in an uptrend. For sure silver's in an uptrend ever since the March lows. Buy off support. Stop trying to sell the high, right? Is gold going to retrace here and get rejected at this resistance? Maybe. Should you sell gold as it's in a major bull market over here? No. Buy off the support. And that's great, Max. That's awesome. Wait. I'm going to H&R Block. They lost their Florida tax season, but yeah, it's true. That's interesting, Brian. Right? That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting too. Is if we enter into a consolidation, right? I would love to see gold. I would love to see the U.S. equity markets consolidate and gold and Bitcoin break out. That would be awesome. Question is, what does the dollar do? I mean, the dollar, watch what happens at 97. Important level that's coming right into play. If we see the dollar break out there, that could see then we could see further dollar weakness. That might be getting long either Australian dollar or euros versus the dollar, right? We could see a further extension against the dollar that might propel Bitcoin and gold to their next leg up also. Pound Swiss franc we could definitely take a look at. All right, pound Swiss franc, Roman. What are you looking at over here? Are you looking to be a buyer over here down in this level? You could see the support. We'll put it in. All right. I mean, this is where right here, where my mouse is where the resistance was on the way down, right? And then you can see we kind of made support up here on the way up. We took that out, and then this is the level that we're focused in on, right? So I'm going to put it right down over here. This is, as long as we're above this, right? Is this the place to step in and buy the pound versus the Swiss franc? It could be, you know, it could be a place to step in and buy, or is this a better place to sell, right? You could play that range both ways. If we break down below the support, then I think we could see some further extension. That would be pretty negative over here. Let me draw in another area that we're going to need to focus in on in the future ahead, and that is right around that area over there. So no, I'm not currently in a trade right now in the S&P 500. That was just a question of obviously that was just a question of me seeing that it looks, you know, like it's going to continue to be bid, and we're going to see that risk on. If you haven't seen Patel, the weekend S&P 500 video, this is a good one to watch right now. Nothing has changed. That's a great video to watch. That gives my clarity on the S&P 500. It's trading exactly as I thought it would trade, but I don't see any reason for me right now to be taking a trade on that. Yeah, Jose, let's look at the pound Australian dollar for sure. Yeah, TM. We'll also look at the pound US dollar, 100%. So here is the pound Australian dollar. Listen, pound Swiss franc's a different situation. We were just looking at the pound Swiss franc. The difference is Swiss franc is a risk off currency. We're not in a risk off environment right now. So to see further appreciation of the Swiss franc versus the pound, well, it makes sense maybe as the pound is near term, perhaps maybe a bit oversold to be taking a trade versus the Swiss franc. Versus the Australian dollar, I don't see that. If we're going to see further risk on, you don't want to be trading against the Australian dollar. That doesn't make sense, right? So are you looking to continue to sell resistance on the pound Australian dollar? Well, there's no reason to do anything but look to be selling resistance on the pound Australian dollar. We're not near resistance right now. So it's a question of waiting to see where the next resistance forms. Or are you coming off that right now? Maybe. If anyone took that trade, overnight, like with an entry right kind of where you are right now, yeah, I could see that. But the pound is a little bit oversold, so I'm not sure that I want to trade against the pound right now. The other thing was the pound US dollar, right? Well, the pound's not making a nice rebound versus the dollar weakness right now, right? Pound is definitely making a nice rebound off that, taking advantage of that dollar weakness. And does that become interesting? The pound's not interesting for me. It's the pound Swiss franc, perhaps. I wouldn't want to be taking a trade against the Australian dollar versus the pound. Well, JC, at the time of, there was a time last year that the pound was amazing to trade, right? As it was first depreciating and then went on that huge appreciation. It moved 1,000 pips on the pound US dollar and pound Japanese yen, 1,200 pips in like 4 weeks. And since then, it's been a little more difficult to trade after that huge volatility, as it's really just trying to find its way. But yeah, I haven't really taken too many trades on the pound of late ever since that. Let me go back with you. Like this area, I got to resize my chart big time. Sorry about that. I don't like that at all. This uptrend though in the pound US dollar, this was a pleasure to trade. And over here was the crisis. I wasn't focused in on the pound. Yeah, me too. This is a great place for us to call it a session. So we're going to do that right now. And listen, great way to start the week. Let me remove that little comment then from you. Great way to start the week. Glad to be back with you all. It's such an important session when nothing's happening. That's what a lot of people really need to focus in on. The fact that if you spend today going through the charts, understanding the market, and just having a feel for what's happening in the market is how you understand the market, because that leads you to the point when it's time to actually act and take a trade. It's not right now. It's right now. Don't force things out there. Wait for the market really to be on your side. Wes, everyone, Matt, Juan, thank you guys so much. I'll see you all this afternoon. Well, I won't see you, but I'll definitely be updating a video on the equity markets. We'll take a look at that. I hope we start getting into the dollar. Maybe that will be tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the live session after the live stream. It'll be the for CTM members, the training program. It'll be a private session. Looking forward to that. That will be the first that we will do from now on every week. Have to highlight that comment. Patient grasshoppers, patience. Jesse, hope you had a great weekend. Look at this killer emoji play. Everyone, 97 incoming. Lawrence, great question about all four going together. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.